Sean Chandler here. As of last week, I hit 2,500 subscribers on my channel, and I just wanted to give you guys a huge, gigantic, enormous thank you for making that happen. But along the same lines, I wanted to do a Q&A. I haven't done one of those in a little while, and I thought since, hey, hit a little cool milestone there, and I thought why not do a Q&A to go along with it. So you guys submitted a bunch of questions, so I've got them listed down on my laptop. I'll work through those as you guys are talking. If you got some questions, throw them my way. I'm going to start off with the questions I already have. So just so you know, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to answer their questions. I've got a laptop over here. I already have a lot of questions to get through. So that's kind of where things are headed. But throw your questions my way, especially if you want to interact right at the beginning with what I'm saying. We can interact back and forth a little bit. And then as we kind of go along, you can go ahead and start submitting as well questions, and I'll try and tackle some of those. Without further delay, let's go ahead and get on started with this, because I have got a whole lot of questions, and I can see a bunch of you guys already joining into the comment section, starting to discuss some things in there. So question number one from Ivan's Mythology, I don't know how to say that. What is your favorite and least favorite movie? So I don't really pick favorite movies all that often. I don't like to pick favorites because I just see the value in diversity. So I mean, you can look around. I like Star Trek. I love Star Wars. Have my whole life. I love comic book movies. There's a ton of things I really love. Die Hard, but I don't really pick favorites. But if I were to pick favorites, I wouldn't pick a favorite, but I can pick a least favorite that ties to one of my favorites, and that would be my least favorite movie of all time is definitely going to be Alien 3. And I've talked about that many times on here, that Alien 3 is my least favorite movie for the simple fact of the matter that Aliens is one of my favorite movies. I love Aliens. I love everything they did with Aliens. And so then when they decided to ruin the ending of Aliens at the very beginning of Alien and cheapen all the victory of the movie I loved with an inferior movie, just doesn't work for me, so did not care for it at all. So Alien 3 is definitely my least favorite movie of all time. So question number two from B-Wise. You are in the chat room and we've been chatting, so I got your question there. Are there any more movies you have walked out of? Are there any movies you have walked out of? There are two movies that I have walked out of ever. The first one was American Psycho. I took a girl on a date to go see American Psycho. It is a movie starring Christian Bale as a psycho that kills people. So, as it turns out, that's not the best date movie. He also hires prostitutes for orgies. And so, if you're trying to have a nice romantic date with a girl that you met at church, American Psycho is not a good starting point for that. So that's number one. And the second one I walked out of was Crank. Crank, it was more just kind of overreaction. Another date night type movie. We went with my wife. We thought it was going to be like The Transporter, so PG-13. We weren't really paying attention to what we went to go see. So we went to go see it, and then it turns out to be much more Grand Theft Auto the movie than The Transporter, in which case that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, so we rubbed us the wrong way, so we didn't stick around for it. I've watched it since then and I like it enough, but so that's where those are the two movies that I've walked out of are American Psycho and Crank. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. You guys are saying there's lag. I can't really tell how much lag there is or what that looks like. There's nothing I can really change on my end other than possibly move locations and hope that my connection is a little bit better. Someone asked me to rank all the James Bond movies. That requires me to rewatch all the James Bond movies, which just in and of itself, just to do that, if I sat down and did it straight, would in fact take me about 48 hours just to watch them. I don't have 48 hours to do that and write reviews, so now it's not coming anytime soon. Though I have it on my mind. I have watched some of them specifically to start working to rank them, but that's the one's not coming anytime too soon. Zombie Slayer 7 asks, what's your favorite movie experience? I went to go see Fast and Furious 5, or Fast 5 when it came out in the theaters, and I saw it opening night, midnight showing, and I mean, it was like packed theater, parking lot jam-packed full of cars, racing cars, people like peeling out and everything. And then in the theater, while we're in there, a guy needed to go to the bathroom or something, so he started running down the stadium stairs. There's a little gap in the stairwell. He just jumps over it 20 feet down. The craziest thing I've ever seen. Most fun movie experience of my life. Loved seeing Fast Five in that packed theater like that. Someone asked me, am I excited about Coco? No, I'm not really excited about Coco at all. Someone else asked me in the comment section, do I prefer Gladiator or The Patriot? I love both of those movies. I think Gladiator's the better movie, but I prefer Patriot over them. Hey, buddy. I'm live on the internet. Yeah, no, I'm live. Literally, there's like people watching right now. I gotta go. I gotta talk to the people.
I know.
Bye. Good night. Night, buddy.
I'm not going good night. I had these.
Buddy, I'm live on the internet.
Yes, I know.
But I'm talking to you while they're watching right now. Someone asked me. Sorry about that. Sorry, my son walked in while he was brushing his teeth and he's about to go to bed. Mike McRock asks, what do you think about James Cameron's comments about Wonder Woman? So if you don't know what I'm talking about there, James Cameron basically said, Wonder Woman is a step backwards for women. It objectifies the character. It's no good. All sorts of, actually said, it's a pretty good movie, but it's a step backward for women. What do I think about that? Bizarre. It's just a weird movie to make that point about, especially for him to be like, it's objectifying women. This is the, and he referenced then Sarah Connor as an example of like a strong woman that wasn't a beauty icon, which is a weird thing to say because he married Linda Hamilton, who played Sarah Connor, and he like showed her naked in the first Terminator movie. So it's just like a weird thing for him to say. It's a weird thing for him to pick. So all around weird comments. I don't agree with his comments. It's just very odd that he said it. It seemed like maybe he hasn't even seen the movie and he was just kind of assuming things. All in all, his comments just seemed very odd. Not out of character because he's pretty arrogant and says stupid stuff. Kind of just says things. So anyway, that's kind of my immediate take on it, is that it was just very, very odd what he said. Hello, Rat Andy. What's up to you too? Next question. Arkham Knight says, what time is your Q&A? It's right now. So that's a weird question asked because it's right now. There you go. Someone just asked me, what's your thoughts on Will Smith playing the genie? I don't have strong thoughts on it because I don't know what I'm much more interested in Guy Ritchie directing it. That always seemed like a weird choice, and then King Arthur didn't do great. And so that seems like a weird pairing to me. Will Smith is the genie. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to do something very different from Will Smith, from Robin Williams, that's also charismatic, fun, a guy that can do things, I mean, I guess fair enough. In general, I'm not crazy about all these Disney live adaptations. It feels like Disney is playing the safe game as opposed to the good game. Matt keeps asking me, what's better, Lord of the Rings versus A Song of Ice and Fire? I'm not a big Game of Thrones fan, and I'm not a big Lord of the Rings fan for totally different reasons. I just haven't watched, I'm not just not a big Lord of the Rings fan in general, but I haven't watched through Game of Thrones. I haven't watched far enough through it, so I can't really say a strong enough version of it. Someone just asked me, Sean, can you review the Arrowverse seasons? No, because I haven't seen seasons 2 of Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow. Generally speaking, it would be like up here, upper echelon. It's going to be Flash season 1, Arrow season 1 and 2, and then you get kind of Flash season 2, Arrow season 5, and then kind of down here, Supergirl, season 1, down from there, kind of everything else. So it'd be something like that. Next question. Joe Aureliano asks, how old are you? I am 35. I don't know. People tell me I look younger than my age, but I'm 35 years old. Where do you live? 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. That's not where I live. I live in Austin, Texas. So Central Texas, in the suburbs, kind of the furthest out suburb of Austin. So it's dove season right now. So if I go outside in the morning or in the afternoon, I just hear gunshots because people are shooting at doves and birds and stuff in their backyard. Some people are saying it's not working. Some people seem to be interacting back and forth with me. I don't know which one's the case because I'm not watching it. I do have a stream over here of myself, so I'm seeing myself well enough. So I don't know if it's lagging or not. Hercules asks, have you read it? No, I have not read any Stephen King books. Joe Arellano asks, are you rich? It's a weird question to ask. If you use definitions of American standards of upper class, middle class, lower class, I am in the middle class. If you use more reasonable standards of, if you look at human history and if you look at wealth distribution around the world, if you're sitting at a computer on the internet doing a live stream or watching me do a live stream compared to human history, you are rich. We do play these comparison games and we compare ourselves to all sorts of the wrong things, and we always look for the person that's got more than us and we get jealous or we think, why don't I have that? But really, if you're watching this right now, or if you're me making this right now, you're rich. You probably have air conditioning. You got internet. I'm shooting into a phone right now, and it's shooting around the world. I am a rich person with all sorts of means. So, am I rich? I would say absolutely, I am rich. But based off American standards, I'm right there in the middle class, very underemployed at the moment. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Why do you have the...
Liam, I'm shooting a video. You know that.
Yes, and why do you have the pink pencil?
Liam,
Yes,
buddy, you know I'm shooting. I'm sorry about that. So that's my answer to that. Mike McRock asks, what's your favorite Western of all time? A Fistful of Dollars, I think. I think I'd go with A Fistful of Dollars. Is where I'd go with that one. Then he also asks, why do you think so many video games turned movies just don't work at all? I think the problem with video game movies is inherently what makes for a good game is setting up action. You're trying to create scenarios where immediately you go to action scenarios. So if you're playing a first-person shooter, it's just straight to action, 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 set up the next action sequence. That's what you want. It's so based entirely around the movement of it, not the story of it. It's an afterthought to just set up action sequences. And so that inherently makes it kind of difficult to make a movie out of that. You create an interesting world, a scenario, game dynamics that are fun to play along with, but that's not the same thing as a story that's engaging, that functions level to level, world to world, because whether you go level to level, that's not the way movies work. If you go open world and you can go to different places and different scenarios, that's not how movies work. You think of games like the Grand Theft Auto games that have pretty complex kind of stories to them and story arcs, but you kind of choose your own adventure in the deal there. So that's kind of why. Trash Trackers asks, do you listen to Skillet? Yes, I actually bought Skillet's very first album when it came out back in 1996. So I am an original Skillet fan all the way back to the very beginning when they started putting out music. Then around the year 2000, they started getting synthian. I kind of lost interest. Then they started getting hard rock, and I got really interested. It's about 10 years ago, they put out a couple albums that are really, really good, and I saw them live around that period of time. So as for Skillet, yes, I do enjoy the band Skillet. I haven't listened to their last 2 or so albums, though. You get old and you stop listening to new things. Someone has asked me, are they making a Minecraft movie? I have no clue if they're making a Minecraft movie. Rich Reviews asks, what will the movie industry look like in 5 to 10 years? I think the push will be towards big blockbusters, more so in the theaters, fewer and fewer kind of mid-budget type things, unless there's a big kind of turnaround in the industry, but the push just keeps being for these big things, and that's just not I just haven't been crazy someone just asked me, do I own a Teddy Ruxpin? I'm not crazy about yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. I got distracted trying to get a Teddy Ruxpin. But someone asked me about Christian music, and am I into it? It's a weird question. I've done a lot of worship leading type stuff. Tend to be into like worship music that comes from churches. The actual Christian music scene, Toby Mac, that stuff doesn't appeal to me. Here's the deal with Toby Mac to me. Toby Mac is 20 years older than me. That means he's like 55. He's got kids that have graduated high school. And so that's a weird thing to be making music for teenagers and quirky pop music for high schoolers and middle schoolers when you're 55 years old. It's a little bit weird. Someone named Chad asks, can I read your comments? I can read your comments. Hercules asks, do you have an Instagram? I do have an Instagram. They're moving real quick now. Sorry about that. I can't read them quite as fast as they're moving. Rich Reviews asks, even though it's only September, what is the front runner for Best Picture if there is one? I think as of where things are right now, right now in the movies and what movies have been released and have buzz surrounding them, I would go with Dunkirk is the front runner for Best Picture. Now, we haven't hit Oscar season. We haven't hit the season where all the movies come out to try and make their play to get Oscars, but that's kind of where we're at. Hi Guy OMG asks, do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? No, I've tried to watch it. I watched about the first 12 episodes. Didn't click for me. So that's kind of the problem there. Jay Vaders asks, what is your favorite and least favorite movies from the Disney Dark Age? From the Disney Dark Age, I like Robin Hood and Great Mouse Detective. I don't have a least favorite. I'd have to rewatch all of them to be able to have that level of opinion. Disney Golden Age, I would go with Sleeping Beauty. Once again, I'd have to rewatch all of them to have a least favorite. Someone asked me, do I go with Batman or Superman? I'm going to go with the cheat answer. Batman is not a superhero. So for superheroes, I'm going to go with Superman because he actually has superpowers. Then I'm going to go with Batman as just a hero because he doesn't have some of that other fancy stuff. There you go. Should we get more bad guy-based solo movies? Probably not. They're just difficult to make because you want them to be... you can't make a protagonist out of a bad guy without making them not a protagonist or making like a Tarantino level dark movie. Or you go in the opposite direction of you water down the character, and that doesn't tend to go well. So they're just very difficult to translate in that manner, especially for like these big, gigantic blockbuster movies. They're not very likely to make the movie that you want to make in making a super villain movie. So that's kind of the problem with that. Divjux, do you sleep with the teddy bear? Well, the teddy bear's name is Teddy Ruxpin, and I do not sleep with him. He stays in this office. I've got 2 dogs and a wife, and the 3 of them cuddle with me at nighttime. I also have 2 kids, and so in the middle of the night, they frequently get out of their beds, get into my beds, and keep me warm. Chad asks, what type of horror movies you don't like? What type of horror movies do I don't like or do not like? I don't really like the torture porn stuff. I watched all the Saw movies like 3 weeks ago or something like that. Yeah, I don't actually like watching people like, as their arms are being cut off. That's not really my thing. So that's kind of where I would fall on that one. Kara Helmsley says, who would you say is the greatest film character of all time and why? I would go with Rocky. Go with Rocky on that one because we've gotten to see him over 40 years. We've gotten to see 40 years of Rocky, the rise, kind of fall, come back. We've seen this character explored. He's so human, though they've seen the absurdity in certain things. So we've got to see a lot of different stuff in there. So that's pretty fun. Someone asked me, do I like Marvel or DC? Comic book and the actual characters, I would go with DC. Movies and consistent success, I would go with Marvel. But absolutely, when it comes to characters, I would go with DC on that one. Hercules asking, hot Cheetos or Takis? Neither. I like spicy food. I just don't like that type of spicy food. It's like artificial spicy. I normally like actual legitimate spicy food that's extraordinarily hot. I was just asked, what are my thoughts on Jeepers Creepers 3? I don't have any thoughts on Jeepers Creepers 3. I saw Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 when they first came out. I haven't rewatched any of them. I haven't thought too much about them. So I don't have too many thoughts on it. I might see it. I might rewatch them just to do a ranking video. I don't know if anyone actually cares. So, you know. Mitchell asks, do you have any social media? I have like all the social media. I've been running social media for different things for a very long time. So I'm all over the Facebook. I've got like 4 Twitter handles. I'm on Instagram. So I'm all over it. It's all my name. The Dance Party asks, what's the worst comic book film? Tough to say. it's really difficult to say what the worst one is because you have things kind of like the 90s Fantastic Four, which they made the movie, like the producers made it just to keep the rights. They didn't make it so that it would be released. Then you have things like Catwoman that had a big budget, that had professionalism to it. It's just garbage. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky to me that, picking the worst in it. I've never seen Catwoman because I don't want to. I have no interest in watching a fake adaptation of Catwoman that's crap. That's not anything that has any sort of desire in my head. Like, there's nothing in me that's like, man, that would be a great use of my time. So, yeah, it's not likely to happen. Someone said, can I rank the Hunger Games movies? I'll make a video out of it eventually. Actually, just yesterday, I was talking with my wife that was thinking about doing at some point in time. But if I were to rank them, the worst one would be what the Mockingjay Part 1. Then I would go the very first Hunger Games movie. Then I would go Mockingjay Part 2. And then I would go, the best one is Catching Fire. I really like Catching Fire. I was pretty disappointed in the first one. The first book, too, the concept of it was odd to me, the nature of how it worked and who it was appealing to, and I have a contrarian side to me, so I wasn't crazy about it at first. So then I really liked the second movie. Then the third movie, I was like, this is boring. This is weird. And then I liked kind of where it ended a little bit, so it could be nice. Do you think that Predator should return in the next Alien movie with David? Nope. No, I don't. I don't know if I want another one with David. I don't know that I want to intertwine these things again. I'm not really interested in any of that stuff. So I'm going to ask you, what's my favorite of the Netflix original movies? None of them. Oh, no, Ark. Ark. There's one with Robbie Amell. It's a time loop movie. It's a bottle film. It's like kind of set in a post-apocalyptic world, but you're not really sure because you're all contained in this one space. And so a guy wakes up, people break into his home and kill him, and then a time loop starts again. And it's like nice and tight. It's like right at 90 minutes, maybe a little bit underneath it. Real cool little movie. I enjoyed it good, but I have a review on my channel, did some cool effects on it. Shem asked me, Thor Ragnarok or Justice League? Justice League. Yeah, Justice League. Even the troubled production of it, the history of it, the problems, the switch of directors, the rewriting it, all that stuff, I would go with, I would definitely, go with Justice League. It's just intriguing to me, interesting to me, whereas Thor Ragnarok, it's like, another, excuse me, I lost my train of thought. Another Thor movie, even if it's quirky, weird, it's with a splash of Flash Gordon on top of it, it's still just another Thor movie, whereas Justice League, like, what is this thing gonna be? I don't know, so I'm interested in that one. Be Wise, could you rank the Divergent movies? No, I've only seen the first one. So my list is the first one, and then I don't know anything else after that one. I think I've seen the first one several times. My wife had it on repeat a little bit. Shem asks, do you hate Teen Titans Go? Actually, that's not a question, that's a statement. But, yeah, my kids watch Teen Titans Go. We try and stop them from actually, they don't ever put it on themselves. I put it on for them. They love it, the juvenile nature of it. We try to do that as little as possible because we don't want them watching that kind of juvenile stuff. Favorite Lethal Weapon movie? I can't pick yet. Someday I'll do a ranking video. I'll have to choose, but at the moment, 1 and 2 are kind of on the same as me. Sam B, what anime have you seen? I don't know. A bunch of anime. I don't know. GS, could you rank the Harry Potter movies? I already have. There's a video up. I did it with Tyler Tompkins. It's an early ranking video that I did. But yeah, I already did it. It doesn't have whatever the new one was with Newt. But yeah. Due to the success of It Chapter 1, will we have to wait 3 years for It Chapter 2? And I don't remember couldn't read what the rest of it said. I think they're going to fast track that. I think they have to fast track it because they're going to want to have the kids come back. And the kids, as it turns out, will keep aging. And so if they wait 3 years, the kids will be 3 years older. And that limits what they can and can't do. I haven't read the book, so I don't know the details of that. But I would assume they're fast tracking the sequel. They certainly were already thinking about it. All that fun stuff. So I'm sure it'll be a 2-year turnaround on that one. Should they remake or reboot Terminator? I think that they should just put the brakes on Terminator for about 10 more years. And maybe for the 40th anniversary, maybe in 2024, do a hard reboot. Don't make it a big blockbuster. Do it a small budget. That's the problem they keep running into, is that the series grew to a level that it was this big blockbuster franchise, whereas the first movie is kind of a smaller, smaller kind of horror action sci-fi movie. Then the second one, it is a blockbuster film, but it's like an action movie. And there's tons of special effects in it, but it's not just kind of like the big just CGI explosion on the screen stuff that they feel they have to do these days. And I mean, you watch the new one and it's like they had to have all these cars, like a school bus flipping over, crazy CGI, everything. And that's not what the first Terminator was. You don't have to make a $150 million Terminator movie. Make a $50 million Terminator movie. The dance party. Sean, favorite NFL team? Both of my parents are from Denver. All of my family's basically from Denver. So the only answer I can give on that and remain a member of the family is the Denver Broncos. It goes really bad for me if I go with anything else. So Denver Broncos, it definitely is. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of where we land on that one. All right, going back to my list of questions. Lego Batman, favorite and least favorite horror movie. I don't have a least favorite horror movie at all. Like I couldn't be like this. There's a bunch of horrible horror movies out there. Couldn't pick one. As for favorite, Scream. That's what I picked a while ago. That's why I did a review of it. That's why I reviewed the whole series. I'll do a ranking probably next month for October. Hoping to find some people to do that one with me. So anyway, that's where that one kind of lands. So Chad just says, do you think they'll do a remake of Tron? I don't know. I mean, they tried to do it. It had amazing special effects, and Tron's one of those movies that's like more of a nostalgia fest, but the actual story of it's kind of weird. So I don't know. Austin Wilcutt asked, do you have Predator on Blu-ray? Looks like I have Predators on Blu-ray. I do not have Predator on Blu-ray. I own Predator, but I don't think I'd have it on Blu-ray. So, of course I need you. You're my wife. That's why we got married, remember? My wife walked in the room and started asking me questions. What do you think of Zoolander? I think Zoolander is a very funny movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, that I saw in the theater, that I think still works. And because of that, I never saw Zoolander 2 because I don't want to ruin it. Yeah, if you can, well, I don't think there's maybe there is. I guess if you, yeah, anyway, if you can turn this around, there's these questions on here. It's plugged into this mic, so careful. Someone just asked worst Adam Sandler movie. I have no clue, because I haven't watched any of them. I stopped watching Adam Sandler movies 10 years ago. I don't know why anyone's still watching them. I don't know why anyone's checking out the ones that are on Netflix. I don't know why people watched like Jack and Jill. I don't know why anyone's seeing any of them. So I don't know what the worst one is. Jack and Jill sounds pretty terrible from what I've seen of it. Anytime Adam Sandler's just going doing voices, I'm like checked out. Like when he was doing that in the early 90s and he was 25, like, hey, sure, of course, it's funny. Young guy doing funny voices. But comedy changes as time happens, and a 50-year-old man being like, hey, Jack. That is not my thing at all. So, yeah, not going to work for me. Do we have a question?
I'm trying to catch up.
You have to talk loudly because you're not near.
I'm trying to catch up to where you are. I don't know where you stopped reading.
Oh, okay. Dance party. Sean, do you know Chris Stockman? No, not at all. He is way more successful than me.
Maybe so.
Yeah, but to that point, he's actually going to be in Austin in a week and a half at a event the Fantastic Fest, so I'm hoping to meet him at that.
Hercules says he knows.
So see what kind of comes of that. Hey, if you know Chris Stuckman, tell him to look out for me. Meet me at Fantastic Fest. We can shoot a killer video together. I will let him be on my channel. So I mean, I hope that I meet him next week, I guess that is next week. But no, I do not know him. I think he's liked one of my tweets that I sent him. Iker just asked, original Star Trek or Next Generation? I go with Next Generation. It's a much more well-balanced series. The original Star Trek has great episodes, and then it has a lot of dreadful episodes. Now, Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1 is dreadful as well, but as a percentage, it got a lot better and stayed a lot better. Star Trek fizzled out, and by Season 3, like, you got Spock's brain. I mean, there's an episode where Spock's brain is stolen, and then they use a remote control to drive Spock around. That's the plot of an episode of Star Trek, so, not going to go with that. Log dump. Sean, do you sleep with a fan? Yeah, I live in Texas. Yeah, we have a fan going. Sometimes we have a tower fan going. Yeah, we got fans going all the time. And, like, the only reason that fan right there is not going is because I'm shooting this video. So, that's why. Do you have a question for me?
Is the Batman box set you have there, I assume behind you, any good?
This one?
No.
Dark Knight or the original ones?
No specific.
The Dark Knight Trilogy Blu-ray set is a very cool set. It's got the special features. It's got all the stuff you want. If you don't have the Christopher Nolan films, get this Dark Knight Trilogy. As for the Batman, this one right here, I'm not going to grab it to pull it out to double check on it. I don't think this one has all the special features that are on some of the other ones. I don't think this is as strong of a... Where's my arm at? As strong as a set as some of these other ones. But so there's some excellent special features for Batman 89, Batman Returns. Just when you look at it, make sure it's got a ton of stuff on it.
Give AJ a shout out.
AJ wants a shout out. Hey AJ, I don't know who you are, but I was told to give you a shout out. You sound incredible. Trash Talker, he loves in Texas. That's true. I do make love in Texas. And he likes Dr. Pepper. That's where my kids came from, actually. Well, Austin Wilcott asks, worst Star Trek movie? I go Star Trek Nemesis. Technically speaking, the worst made is, of course, Star Trek V. Technically speaking. Now, the most boring one is, of course, Star Trek the Motion Picture. I think the one that doesn't need to exist, that just feels like, ooh... This is forgettable. It's a rehash. Has issues to it. I go Star Trek Nemesis. I like Star Trek V too. It's, I think, my first memory of going to the movies. There's a whole story to it. Same summer that I saw Batman 89, another very early theater memory for me. But there's like the most distinct 80s movie memory of going to the theater is Star Trek V.
What's more scary, the Borg or aliens?
More scary? Mm-hmm. I think you have to go with the aliens, the xenomorphs, because the Borg got watered down so much by Seven of Nine, by the Borg Queen, by Hugh, where the Borg stopped being like this just terrifying threat that was out there. They started making weapons to defeat them. And so they stop kind of, and when as soon as you make something personal that you know it loses the mystery of the fear of it. As soon as you have a weapon to defeat it, take some of that away. As soon as you have your own pet Borg, you kind of lost the credibility. As soon as you have a hot Borg, you kind of lose a little bit. Shem says Star Trek DVD. Yes, I have a lot of Star Trek DVDs. There's actually, if you can't tell, there's a row of videos back here. So, yeah. Dance Party, Face Off or Con Air? I don't know how to pick. I watch Con Air more. The movie that I would say is probably the better movie is probably Face Off. So, as I will often do, I'll pick both of them. But, they're pretty equal to me. So I have a love for, John Woo movies. I have love for Nicolas Cage action movies. I have love for cheesy movies. I have a lot more nostalgia for Con Air than I do Face Off, though. Nostalgia goes to... It's weird nostalgia, too, because it's my mom thought that Nicolas Cage was hot in Con Air, where he's wearing a white beater, he's covered in dirt, and it's the long hair looks ridiculous, and then my mom was like, ooh, he looks really good in this. Like, Mom, too much information. You're just giving me too much information. I don't need to know what you're telling me right now. Rich Reviews keeps telling me you watched The Orville. I did too. I was more middle of the ground on it. You said you liked it. I was more like, I'm not quite sure what I think about this. So, I'm going to wait to check it out check out more about it. But I'm not decided yet. I wouldn't say I liked it. I didn't hate it. It could be good. We'll see what happens. Hercules asks, what do you think of the National Treasure movies? I think that they're great, fun family adventures. I have no criticisms of the National Treasure movies. I'm not like, best movie, nothing like that. But as for just family adventures, I think that they're very solid, fun, enjoyable movies. Both of them. I think equally. I'd need to rewatch them. I think one of them we had either was on Netflix, and so we've seen that one a lot more because my wife puts it on all the time. I mean, we watched the first one a ton. We might own this. It's not up there. I tried to check to see if I could find it. But I think we own both of them, so maybe what I said isn't true. We just happen to watch the first one a lot more than the second one. But that's not even a preference thing. That's just the way the world has happened. Shem Gordon asks, who is the best movie of 2003? I'd have to stop and think about what came out in 2003. But also, who is the best movie? Movies aren't people, so what is the best movie? I don't know. I couldn't pull it off the top of my head. Rank the Jaws movies. Worst, Jaws the Revenge. Next one, Jaws 2. Next one, runner-up, Jaws 3. The stupid fun of it. And it's got a great cast. If you haven't watched Jaws 3, I mean, it's got Dennis Quaid. I love Dennis Quaid. It's got Leah Thompson. I love her. So it's got a great cast. It's in 3D, and so it's got stupid like stuff coming at the screen things. There's shots in it because you only can see it in 2D for the most part now. So there's shots where there's just like a lingering bones and stuff, and you're like, what is this? If you don't know it's supposed to be in 3D. But so it's just kind of dumb fun, whereas the second one's kind of like, But then Jaws, or jump up way up here and you got Jaws 1. Rich Reviews asks, what is the average price for a movie in Texas? When I go to nighttime movies, it is $11.85. That is the... Yeah, that's what the price is. Shem, you keep asking me who is the best movie, and you're going to keep making me laugh if you keep doing that. And I won't be able to kind of off the top of my head come up with what movie it is from any given year, most likely. So, woman is back. What is our next question? Did you answer Jason Bourne versus John Wick? Jason Bourne versus John Wick? I think it's too early to decide. Because you've got 4 movies in one and you got 2 in the other. And so one had a completed trilogy, one doesn't have a complete trilogy. One had a completed trilogy and then added this other thing that didn't need to, or added 2 things that don't need to exist. And then there's also the 80s Jason Bourne movie. So it's difficult to compare them when they're not apples to apples comparison on there. If a 2 would win in a fight, I think you have to go with John Wick because John Wick isn't grounded in reality and his ability to just kill people is, it's quite impressive. Next question. Civil War or Winter Soldier? I think I would go with Civil War. Just the appeal of kind of everybody coming together was unique to me. Did someone ask how you make money on YouTube? No, do you make money on YouTube? Yeah, you can make money on YouTube. You have to know how... Do you make money from YouTube is what it says. I make money from YouTube, yes. From ads that run on my videos. And I don't cuss, and so they actually can run ads on them. I'm not too crass on them. They want to make my vague sexual innuendos. So you can run ads on them. So I make a little bit of money from that, about $1 for every 1,000 views, maybe $1.40 for every 1,000 views. You can make money from Patreon. So some people support me directly financially and have some direct influence on my kind of channel, what videos I review, what rankings, some stuff like that, but they give me money directly. And then I have affiliate links, so that's where I talk about MoviePass, or if you look down below in my videos, there'll be like links to Amazon and stuff and make money through that. So those are the different ways that I can make money on the YouTubes. But yes, I make some money off of YouTube. I am currently profitable. I can say that. I wouldn't say too much more than that because it wouldn't be terribly true. But I'm profitable enough, and I've made just enough money to be able to buy some of these video type things, lights and stuff. So that's kind of where my channel is at right now in regards to money. Not looking to quit my job soon, but hey, maybe someday.
Rich Review says the most money he's ever made on YouTube is $1.25, and his mom said he should frame it.
Next question.
What's more scary, to be haunted by The Grudge or Predator?
I haven't seen The Grudge since it was in theaters, so I don't remember how scary it is. But as for movies that actually kind of scared me, one of the few that I actually have memories of kind of being like, after watching it, is the first time I ever watched Predator back in the, mid, early 90s. That one actually kind of shook me a little bit. There aren't a lot. I didn't watch a lot of horror movies when I was young. My mom, I obviously have talked about all the time that I'm a Christian and used to be a pastor and grew up with a very Christian mom. And so she had one of those books like Satan in the Toy Chest. Now, she's not a weirdo that's in too much into that stuff, but she's at times had little windows where she has been super strict on some stuff. So we just didn't watch a lot of horror movies or anything like that. I'm squeamish. I don't do actual real life blood. I've passed out a bunch of times from blood, so I was kind of scared of horror movies for a long time too, because I didn't want to pass out from watching a movie. So Predator's a movie that actually kind of scared me, so I'm gonna go with Predator is scary. Hercules asks, have you seen the It miniseries? Nope, never saw it. I always assumed it was awful because it was a TV miniseries from the 90s, and those aren't good. And so I just assumed it was bad, so I never watched it. And then just in the last few years, people were like, oh, Tim Curry's Pennywise, it's so iconic. And I would see these pictures of Tim Curry as a clown in the sewers. I was like, okay, if you guys say so. Like, I didn't know how to interpret it because it just looked like a 90s TV movie to me, and I watched some clips from it, and I was like, this just looks like a 90s TV movie. I can't take this seriously. And I looked at the cast of it, and I was like, this is just a 90s TV movie. And so people tell me it's great, but I don't know.
The first movie you saw in theaters, or that you remember seeing in theaters?
I think the first movie that I saw in theaters was this one. I missed.
Yeah, you totally missed.
It's not up there.
Right, yeah, it is.
Oliver and Company.
Oh, no, I lied.
Yeah, she's wrong.
We don't own that movie.
What?
We don't own that movie.
My wife just told me we don't own Oliver and Company.
I was thinking of The Saint. Is that the first R-rated movie you saw?
The Saint is nothing. How does the alphabet work? We own Oliver and Company. We own it. I'll look it up. We'll find it one of these days. But I do own Oliver and Company. I know because I put it up here yesterday. If you're wondering, very shortly I'm going to do a Blu-ray collection movie. The first movie I remember seeing in theaters is either Batman or Star Trek V. Batman or Star Trek V are one of those two. It's kind of a little bit blurry in my memory exactly how that played out. Batman's the one that actual memory is Star Trek V. Oliver and Company is, I think, the real answer to the question. So there you go. Anyway, that's a long, weird answer to it, where I stood up, showed you my backside, and then sat back down without a movie.
Well,
so
you didn't moon them, but just your back.
Well, do you guys want me to moon you?
Stop it. That's not even.
Thumbs ups. If we get enough thumbs up.
Any advice for people who want to watch horror movies but are scared?
No. I mean, it's kind of ease your way into it. Kind of start with PG-13 kind of scary movies. Ask some people. And if you have to know what kind of things scare you. So if it's jump scares, if it's just like demonic stuff just freaks you out, Well, don't start with that. Start with the slasher movie. And there's some PG-13 slasher movies. There's stuff like Scream that it has slashing and killing, but it has kind of a fun vibe to it. So there's a number of things you could start out with. You probably don't want to start with like Saw 3 where there's a guy's limbs twisted and his bones popping out. That's probably not a great place to start. Don't probably start with The Exorcist, but, you know, start a PG-13 one and just think about what freaks you out. Don't start with that. Start with something different from that. And you just kind of work your way up. Dance Party asks, Sean, should they reboot the X-Men films? Absolutely, but take a break. I'm 100% for rebooting X-Men after a few years. Just take a few years off. Maybe 2020. Call it a 20 years after I got this next one, this Dark Phoenix they're doing. I don't care about it at all. It doesn't, like, I don't know why they're doing it. It feels weird to me that they're kind of continuing and there's all these unanswered questions and then there's X Factor and it's like they've played out their main cast, their interesting characters, and Patrick Stewart's too old and Hugh Jackman's too old, but they're still trying to keep it going. I think that's just a bad idea. Kill it. Just let it die out. Let Logan be the end of it. And then you have it come back, rebooted in 2020. So there's a 3.5-year gap with no X-Men movies or just Deadpool movies. Just give us Deadpool ones, maybe an X Factor one that ties into Deadpool, and come back, fresh reboot. Absolute fresh reboot from the ground up. 2020, new everything except Deadpool. Keep Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, and because it's meta, and so there's kind of a fun thing to have him as the crossover between the two of them. Get a new everything, and you think about it, X-Men is the movie that kicked off the modern era of comic book movies. It came out 8 years before the MCU started. It started 5 years before the Nolan films. It started over 10 years or 13 years before Man of Steel, and it's still going. And I think it's always had continuity problems, but it's trying to like keep up with the changes. I just started over. Maybe if they want to start it over and work into it, Fantastic Four, that'd be cool. But that would be kind of my take on it. Whoa, Jeremiah, be careful. You're going for the it stuff, and the wife is not gonna go. Not going to go for that stuff at all. I would not recommend going down that path too far.
Next question. Rank the Jaws movies?
I've already ranked the Jaws movies.
Sorry.
You were in here when I was talking about them.
I don't think
Yeah, you walked in while I was talking about them. Yeah, because I was talking about number 3 for a while and how fun the cast is. Quick version on Jaws 4 is the worst. Then Jaws 2 is just kind of dull rehash. Jaws 3 is a step up, not because it's better. It's a dumb movie. It's a bad movie. But it's got Dennis Quaid. It's in 3D. You got Leah Thompson. It's at SeaWorld. So it's dumb fun. It's like the right kind of bad shark movie as opposed to Jaws 2. It's like rehashed bad Jaws movie. And then way up here is the first Jaws movie, of course.
Favorite raunchy comedy?
Favorite raunchy comedy? What's your guess?
I don't know.
Hangover? I don't know what Hangover is the one that comes to mind, but that's tough because it kind of got tarnished by the sequels. That watching them through the first time was like, hey, that's entertaining enough. But then as you let it sink in, it just feels like the reputation was kind of tarnished. That one comes to mind. I think that's it. You don't have a guess?
Not off the top of my head because I'm reading.
Yeah, so I don't. That would be my guess. I'm not like crazy about raunchy comedies. They're ones I watched like 1 or 2 times. My favorite one is the one I watched last night.
That is not true.
Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
Horrible.
That's not my favorite.
It's not good. Do you have a favorite TV miniseries?
No. Are there any? I'm trying to think through which ones have actually been kind of good, which ones have I seen. So, like the OJ thing from last year, I really like that. And likewise, 11/22/63 on Hulu, I really like that. Those are the 2 that come to mind. But I wouldn't. That's also to say I'm not like crazy about a bunch of miniseries. So those are the ones that come to mind. The ones from the 90s, just none of them seemed very good to me. They were just like poor movies. Didn't age well. And a lot of the stuff being done more recently, I think, is just made better, ages better, and attracting stronger caliber people. Television's really good these days. So those are the 2 that come to mind.
Oh, there we Thoughts on Orion Pictures being revived as a studio?
Nope, I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about the nature of it, who's involved, what are they doing, so I couldn't say anything about it. Rank the Human Centipede movies. I've seen 0 of them. I've also, I'm not interested in seeing them. And, weird one to want me to rank. Just trying to put clips of them in the videos, and then I'd get banned from YouTube. Next question.
Have you seen the Blues Brothers?
Nope, I've actually never seen the Blues Brothers. Either one of them I haven't seen. No particular reason, it's just never happened.
I didn't know there were 2.
Yeah, Blues Brothers 2000.
Thoughts
with
on
John Goodman.
I don't know what this means, I hope you do. Thoughts on the hit piece on Rotten Tomatoes by the New York Times?
I don't think it's by the New York Times. I don't think New York Times wrote it. But so if you know what we're talking about, basically there was an article put out this past week, and the premise, background to it, this summer was really bad at the box office. August was dreadful. There's like 2 weeks in a row that were setting records, like worst in over 15 years. And just a lot of real duds this summer. Last summer had a lot of duds too. So basically the premise of this piece was Rotten Tomatoes is to blame. That people are seeing these scores and they're not going to go see the movies because Rotten Tomatoes is basically giving bad press for movies. It's kind of killing the way people see movies, interpret movies, decide what movies to see. Therefore, Rotten Tomatoes is to blame for the poor box office. What do I think about that? I think that is unbelievably stupid. That's a shockingly bad argument. That's one of the reasons I don't think it was written by New York Times, because that is such a bad argument in poor logic and poor reasoning that it wouldn't make any sense. They might have written an article based off of producers and studios blame Rotten Tomatoes for the failure, but that's not the same thing as a piece being written by New York Times as their premise, if they're reporting on a studio's claims. But it's just a dumb idea, first off, because the low Rotten Tomatoes score is based off the movies not being good. Because you might be able to say, hey, I actually liked fill-in-the-blank movie that a bunch of people didn't like. So I gave a positive review to, what's the bad woman comedian, Amy Schumer, Snatched. I gave a positive review to Snatched. I get why everyone hates it, though. I get why it has a terrible score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not like Rotten Tomatoes was wrong about that. And you can kind of go through a bunch of these movies. They got bad scores because they weren't great movies. They weren't original. A bunch of studios played it safe, or they made weird choices. That's why they did poorly. They didn't make great movies. It's not like there's a bunch of movies. It's not... even the movie that I got the most crap for not liking enough this summer, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, has like a really nice Rotten Tomatoes score. And I mean, like that, it's just a tool to say what a percentage of critics thought about it. And it kind of reflects the way a lot of people view things, and thought things like Transformers Last Night was not good. Therefore, it got a bad Rotten Tomatoes score, and people have figured out these movies are not good. Therefore, they stopped going to them. So it's just a dumb premise. And studios and directors claiming that, they are just so kind of far into stupid zone when they say things like that. Do a Batman voice.
Oh yeah, they've been asking.
Swear to me! Swear to me! There you go.
Horrifying.
There you go. Icarus, do you like the Inhumans? I've never seen it. The reviews for the atrocity they put out were not good, so I might check out the Inhumans just to see how bad it is. But yeah, not terribly interesting to me to see Inhumans. I don't like any of that stuff related to it. Austin Wilcott, would a Matrix 4 be a bad idea? Yes. They killed the mythology. They just I don't want a Matrix 4 at all, because the mythology is horrible. They killed it with the third one, rather the second one. The last third of the second one, and then the third one. The mythology is terrible. So I don't want to see any more in the world they created. And I don't really want them to do a Matrix reboot either. So that's a tricky one. It's so disappointing because it feels like we should have been able to have more good stories in the Matrix world. But I think the Wachowskis are just so weird that they wanted to do weird anime, and we don't want to have too much of a Christ Messiah thing going on, so we'll undo that. And basically they deconstructed their entire movie and mythology with the second movie and killed it. Dance Party asks, what's worse, Jar Jar Binks or the Ewoks? I don't have any problems with the Ewoks, so I'm going to have to go with Jar Jar Binks. It's not just that he's slapstick humor, because you always had a slapstick humor in the Star Wars movies. It's not even it's childish humor, it's that it's poop humor. Like he's, Mises a doo-doo, and he steps in poop, there's fart jokes and stuff, and so it's just so base level, juvenile level stuff. That's why it's a unique level of bad, and why he is most definitely the worst.
What? No. Who has a better voice, William Dafoe or Morgan Freeman?
It's weird to compare them, so I don't know that I would pick between the two of them, because they're not. You're comparing comparing apples and oranges. Which is, you're saying, is this awesome apple or this awesome orange better? Well, they're two different things that have a different flavor to them. So why am I trying to pick between these two things? They both do something very well, and I don't feel the need to pick between the two. Hercules, you keep asking me 21 or 22 Jump Street. I guess 21 Jump Street. I don't have a strong opinion. I've seen both of them. I think I've seen both of them one time. I like them. That's kind of it. Dance Party. Sean, do a Mark Wahlberg impression. I don't know, Optimus. I don't know. I'd have to work on it.
What's that weird line
I don't know.
from the trailer where he's like talking about his daughter? And what advice he'd give her, something really lame. You could totally say that.
Be wise, rank the Men in Black movies. The second one's the worst. Then number 3 is a little interesting. Big jump up is the first one.
Guilty pleasure film?
I don't really feel guilty about my movie tastes. I'm proud of whatever I like, so I don't think I would have. I don't do them well. I mean, if I were to pick one that other people would list, it would be Van Damme and Steven Seagal movies, really 90s action martial arts movies, the B-level stuff, or direct to Blu-ray stuff that comes out now. But I don't feel guilty about liking any of that. I don't really have guilty pleasures.
Did you do more impressions before I got here?
I don't think I've done a lot of impressions, so I don't know where this is coming from.
They indicated
I
that
don't
you're
know,
starting
Optimus.
to remind them of Ryan O'Toole with all of your impressions.
You guys asked me to do it. Haven't I done 2?
Can you do an impression of Ryan O'Toole?
He did an impression of me in one of his videos. No, I'm not going to try and do an impression.
Oh, it's good, too.
Yes, apparently I'm impressionable. Wait, that means something entirely different than what I just...
Is Pennywise a good choice to play Joker in the Origin film?
So the question, is the actor that played Pennywise in the new one a good pick for the Joker? Yeah, but it's kind of too obvious of a pick. I mean, I think you look at just that opening Georgie scene in the sewer, and his level of creepness with charm. Yeah, I mean, sure, that's a great pick. I think the idea of a Joker origin movie is horrible. I think the idea of a second Joker while Jared Leto's still the Joker is a horrible idea. I think the idea of like a standalone Joker movie is a bad idea. So it's all a pretty bad idea to me. Like, I don't like any of that. And even when people are like, but Martin Scorsese... He's producing it. He's produced a lot of things. It's a Todd Phillips movie. Todd Phillips isn't going to be bossed around by another guy, even if it's Martin Scorsese. Like, Todd Phillips is an established director with a strong resume that if you hire him, you expect him to do his work. You don't expect him to be the lapdog for Martin Scorsese or something. So it's just a weird project. The whole thing sounded so weird to me. So, yeah.
Should they get a new James Bond or keep Daniel Craig? I already put in my 2 cents, but...
Should keep him or let him go? We actually haven't even seen Spectre yet, so we don't really know. We haven't seen the one that afterwards...
We know. Daniel Craig forever.
Yeah, but you haven't even watched Spectre, so, you know...
Still, he's the best.
When the guy's saying stuff like, I want to slit my wrist with broken glass after making a movie, that's pretty off-putting.
He said that?
That a guy would...
Daniel Craig said that?
He said some pretty harsh stuff after Spectre came out.
Oh,
That's pretty negative towards being James Bond longer. And he's 50, and he always kind of looked like melted wax. So, I think I'd call him the best James Bond. I mean, I would.
Yes.
And I'd say Casino Royale's the best James Bond movie pretty easily.
Yes.
But, I think his time's up. I think give him a good final one, and then let's try something new. Is there a movie that popular you have never seen? Is there a movie that is popular that you've never seen? I don't know, probably hundreds of them. What's one that comes to mind? I don't know.
I mean, that's not the way my brain
This
works.
one right here. No, I've seen that one.
You've probably seen most of those.
Oh,
Since
that's a
we
good
own
call.
them.
Since I own them, I've probably seen them. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's not one that comes immediately to mind. Question?
What are your thoughts on the Laserdisc format? Why would we still have DVD or Blu-ray if it never existed?
Hold on that one. Iker asks, do you speak Spanish? Mi hablo español.
Un poquito.
Un poquito. ¿Dónde está el baño? See? I know español.
Laserdisc.
What was the question?
What are your thoughts on the Laserdisc format? They're referring to it as outdated. Do you think we'd still have DVDs or Blu-rays if that format never existed?
That is such a specific one. I mean that's the problem, is that Laserdisc was basically a transitional one. They were trying to figure out how to make discs that were higher quality video than VHS, and what they came up with were record-sized things. So that's not practical. It doesn't work particularly well. The technology was expensive, so naturally it didn't catch on. My brother-in-law had them, so he had a big TV and a Laserdisc player. So he had some. That was kind of fun, or they're kind of fun before DVDs came around, but it was always kind of transitional. And there's certain technologies that are kind of like that they seem like a good idea, but they're really figuring out how to do it right. Laserdisc as a concept is good, but a disc that's this size is much better than one that's this size. So, there's always ones like Betamax happened before. There was the competition between Blu-ray and HD DVD. So there's always kind of things like that going on, and
Would Matrix 4 be a bad idea?
We already talked about that.
I'm sorry. Top 5 80s movies?
Couldn't come up with those on the top of my head. I mean, Die Hard, Back to the Future, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Predator, Ghostbusters. What are some other 80s ones that I love?
Best and worst
Lethal
Robin
Weapon.
Williams films?
Best, Good Will Hunting, and Mrs. Doubtfire. Worst, I don't know. There's a bunch of them I just haven't seen. I didn't. If there's a Robin Williams movie, they're like, people are like, this is awful, then I wouldn't rush out to go see it. So there's just a bunch of them that I haven't seen. So, yeah.
Who would you pick to narrate a movie about your life? Samuel L. Jackson or Morgan Freeman?
My life? I think you'd have to... Well, I mean, it depends on your take on it, but Samuel Jackson is definitely the one you'd have to go with for the nature of...
your life.
Yeah, the nature of my life. Yeah, there's a way to ironically use Morgan Freeman, but I'm much more of a Samuel L. Jackson, obnoxious type person. Which is funny because in real life I'm introverted and can be shy and soft. I don't know if soft-spoken is the right word, but quiet. I won't talk much. And then at the same time, I can be very obnoxious. And when my personality comes out, it's pretty in your face and obnoxious at times. And it's like, especially like at home, I behave like a crazy person. Just, insanity, throwing kids around, jumping off couches and stuff. And so there you go. Morgan Freeman probably wouldn't match that.
But it'd be really
That's
funny.
not a very good Morgan Freeman.
That would be...
There's
Irony
an ironic way to do it.
Jackson would also also do an excellent job. I like that question.
Can you rank the Star Trek original series seasons? I'm pretty sure I would go 3, 2, 1. The first one's the best, then the second, then the third. The 1 and 2 kind of both have some great episodes, so they're both kind of like this. And then season 3 is just way lower quality.
Lazy Town or The Wiggles?
I'm 35. I am much older than that stuff. So, yeah, I haven't seen either one.
Do you like to travel?
Not really. And some of that, it's tough to say because I used to travel a lot as a youth pastor during summertime. I would do a lot of trips where every July for 5 years, I would drive 1,000 miles to Florida, and then I would drive back, or be there for 4 days, and then I would drive back, have a few days off, then I would drive 1,000 miles to the Navajo Nation, spend a week there, and then drive back. So I do a lot of travel, but I couldn't take my family with me, and so that's not a ton of fun. As an introvert, I tend to like to be at home, and then I tend to like to have time just by myself. And so most of the travel that I've done in my lifetime has been with groups of 50 people where I had to be the life of the party. I had to sleep in a room full of people and stuff. And so it's tough to say. I haven't done normal vacation travel in 20 years since I was growing up and my mommy was flipping the bill.
If you want to find out, you can sponsor us on Patreon.
Yeah, if you want to support, if you guys want me to go on vacation, find a real answer to that question. Simple way to do it. Go to Patreon, pledge $2,000, and I'll throw in there as a perk, the $2,000 perk. You get to pick where I go. I'll have a few options in there. It's your money. You can pick my vacation. So I think I'll add that as a new category. We'll film it. We'll do video blogs. My wife still won't appear in that. Well, I'll throw that. You send us on vacation. My wife will appear for the first time, and not just in haha, whoopsie cameos. She will straight up appear in the videos if that happens. Someone asked me to rank all the Star Wars movies. I have a video up ranking this. I have 2 videos up ranking the Star Wars movies. I'll put another one out when Last Jedi comes out. If I were to do it real quick, it would be Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, Force Awakens, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, and then down here, Clone Wars, Ewok movies, Christmas specials. That's where I would go. Can I do a impression of Amy Schumer? No, because it's a family-friendly channel, and I would have to say inappropriate things talking about her genitals, because that's basically all she talks about is that and her sluttiness. I don't know where Gamer Cop is from, so but yeah, I don't have an Amy Schumer impression that's not just whiny and just offensive in general. I don't find her funny. I didn't mind Snatched, but I don't find her funny. I actually find her pretty like the worst kind of celebrity that's full of themselves and has opinions on things they shouldn't have opinions on.
Who's the worst Batman actor?
George Clooney. I don't think he's necessarily would have. I think he could have been a good pick with the right director. It's not like you think when you think George Clooney in the 90s, in the early zeros, that's a very Bruce Wayne kind of guy. Get the right director that's like, hey, you got to hit the gym and put on 20 pounds of muscle. That's not a bad actor. He's not a bad actor. Just in the movie he was in, is horrible. It's not even good on an Adam West level. It's not like George Clooney is doing kind of a fun Adam Westy type Batman. It's just this weird bad performance.
Can you do a Sean Chandler impression?
I don't know what that means. What would be
an exaggerated version of yourself?
MoviePass. There you go.
Oh man. Why do you think DCEU?
Yes.
Still falling apart?
Why do I think it's still falling apart? For the same reason it's always been falling apart, is that they don't have a Kevin Feige. They don't have a good person that's steering the ship, running things, that has the authority to make decisions, that's making the roadmap. I mean, each month of this year, it feels like we've had more rumored projects, failed projects, canceled projects in 1 month, each of these months, than the MCU's had in 10 years. I mean, you just think about the MCU and how many movies have just disappeared. The Inhumans, that's it. I mean, that's the only one for the MCU. You think of the DCEU, and there's so many of them. There's no roadmap. It's reactionary. They're uncertain. They don't trust their directors. There's just a lot of weird, bad decisions that they make in all of it. That that's why they don't work, because they don't have someone leading it. So there you go.
You do a Joker impression?
No. No.
Pretty good.
A little bit too tough. So.
Gamer Cop says you should do another green screen MoviePass advertisement.
Yeah, I want to. I need to redo that. Obviously because the price dropped. Basically, I'm waiting to do too much anymore pushing MoviePass until they get over this current hump where people haven't received cards, they're not responding to customer service. I'm trying to put the brakes a lot on promoting their stuff, because I'm promoting it. My name is when I do that, I'm associating myself with them, and their customer service right now is bad. And I got my card. I don't want to be associated with that, and so I'm trying to back off pretty heavily until I feel like they're catching up. So when they get cards out there, when the things get positive again, I plan on doing another one of those Van Damme videos. I have one written. I actually have several things written with Van Damme. Want to do one with Shia LaBeouf. So I've got several things planned in the works for further kind of ads like that. So, and now that I have a proper green screen, I can do some of that a lot better than I could before. And proper lights, I can. Austin Wilcock, do you watch The X-Files? Yeah, I've seen every episode of The X-Files. I started watching it when it debuted back in '93. So I'm a full fan. I didn't watch week to week. Some of that related to my mom, and she'd watch it and see the episode where they're cutting chicken heads off and demons are showing up. She's like, nope, you're not watching this show for a little bit. And we take a little bit of time off from it, and then we come back So I saw both of the movies in the theaters in their original runs. So I've always been a big fan of The X-Files. Not all of it has been great. There have been some weak spots, but I think the best of The X-Files is some of the best television ever made. And then, then there's some other stuff that's not as good. So, but yeah, I've always been a fan of The X-Files.
Can you say, woman, where's my super suit?
Woman! Where's my super suit? You're getting me into impressions now. It's not good. It's not good. Shem, I have 3 different videos ranking the Marvel movies. So I've already done it 3 times, and I'll have another one coming out in about a month. Woo! Splashed my drink. I'll have another one coming out about another month, but I couldn't do it off the top of my head right now because there's 16 of them, and that's a little bit more, too many numbers for my small brain.
Do you think movie theaters will go the way of the drive-in? I'm not really sure.
Will movie theaters disappear? Nope. There's always going to be something about the communal movie experience. They might change. They might shrink a little bit. There might not be as many of them. They might expand, so there's more IMAX. But there's something about the communal movie experience with an enormous theater that's just watching movies. I think that's always going to exist for the foreseeable future. I mean, obviously as time changes and we don't know what the next technology will be. We're not very good at predicting the future, as every sci-fi movie ever made has demonstrated. And so, I mean, if holodecks are invented in 10 years, then yeah, they'll disappear. Movies will be gone. But, yeah. Winston Seek asks, is Kathleen Kennedy a bad Kevin Feige? Absolutely she is. I don't think she's doing a very good job at all. Simple fact of the matter is, because I got in an argument back and forth with a guy in my comment section in my Star Wars rant last week. And his premise was Force Awakens, Rogue One, very high Rotten Tomato scores, made tons of money. She's winning. But they're on the 2 things that matter most, she's winning. My response to that would be she's doing the easiest projects she can and hiring talent to do them and giving them truckloads of money, and surprised they made good movies. are movies that people enjoy. Is it surprising to like? I don't. Is anyone surprised that J.J. Abrams was able to make an enjoyable Star Wars movie? Is it like it? Just look at the movie he made, or like as safe of an idea is. Hey, we're gonna have J.J. Abrams do a soft remake of A New Hope, and the movie we got is exactly the movie that you would predict that J.J. Abrams would make doing that. With his kind of sense of humor, his sense of fun. It's like, it doesn't have her touch on it at all. There's nothing magical about what Kathleen Kennedy did with that movie. Rogue One, another safe movie to pick. Like, it's a prequel to A New Hope. That's as safe as you can go. Han Solo movie, such a safe pick. So the key thing that Kevin Feige does is make the roadmap, decide the projects they're going to do, and then pick the directors. And he's knocked it out of the park on both of those. He has picked out television directors, guys that were directing episodes of Community, and turned them into A-list directors because he gave them a path to go on, and they knocked it out of the park. Kathleen Kennedy does not have a good roadmap. She's picking safe projects, and she's not picking directors very well because she's having to fire them. That's not good. Safe B says, I like safe Star Wars movies. If by that you mean family-friendly adventure movies, okay, I agree with you. If by that you mean a soft remake of Star Wars A New Hope, by that you mean every story is contained within a very narrow period of time involving the same characters. If by that you mean the TV shows here, like Rebels happens right before A New Hope. If by that you mean the books take place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. If by that you mean safe, I mean that it's a waste of the Star Wars universe to do what they are doing with the Star Wars universe. Disney was given the Star Wars universe, and they're not going Knights of the Old Republic. They're not going way off in the future. They're not telling like a cowboy story with some lost Jedi on a lone planet between the Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. They're telling such safe stories. They're telling such boring stories. No, I don't mean to say boring. I enjoy them. I really like them, so I don't want to overstate my case. But they're telling the movies that they're making. Me, you, each one of you, if we just sat down and spent 10 minutes brainstorming what movies might Disney make, now that they have, if we're back in 2012, what might they make now that they have Star Wars? Me and you, any one of you, any of you, the 11 of you that are watching right now, any of us could come up with the movies that they've pitched up at this point in time. Soft remake of A New Hope? That's not terribly exciting or terribly creative. Han Solo, Boba Fett movie they keep rumoring, Yoda one, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, we're just listing off all the things that everyone would come up with. Rogue One, there's a little cleverness to that, but it's not like blow your mind clever. So, yeah, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy's doing a great job because she's not bringing anything to it. It's a flavor that you would go, wow, that's awesome what she's doing. You just go, okay, she's making movies that make money. I mean, seriously, how difficult is it to make a Star Wars movie that makes money? Not very difficult. How difficult is it to make a positive reviewed Star Wars money if you give it to an A-list director and give them a ton of money and can do all the reshoots you need to do? It's not very difficult. And that's what you're seeing. And those movies have problems. They're very fun. They're very enjoyable, but they have big problems. Ugh.
What are your thoughts on the DC streaming service?
The Disney streaming service?
Someone said DC.
There's no DC streaming service. As for the Disney streaming service, I think it's a stupid idea. I think that their companies are playing short-minded and they're going to kill the industry. By doing what they're doing. It's the same reason that the movie industry keeps killing itself because they're not going with the flow of culture. The music industry was dying because of Napster and because of bootlegging. And then iTunes came out and Amazon came out and it saved itself because they lined up with the flow of culture. They've discovered a price point that lined up with what people were doing. And people went, oh, I'm not going to bootleg music. How cheap am I? I can pay $1 for this movie or song I want. And so the bootlegging music thing, as it was like this thing we were afraid of, just died very quickly, because you're kind of a weirdo if you can't spend $1 on music if you're a grown-up. If you have a job and can't pay $1 for a song, that's weird. If you can't pay $10 for iTunes Music or Apple Music, whatever it is, that's weird for a month if you got a job. Or if you feel entitled to things like that. But with movies, they keep just shooting themselves in the feet by not following the flow of culture, and they just keep going for the cheap buck right now, whether that's DVD sales, Blu-ray sales, gimmicks like 3D, or trying to create their own streaming service instead of going, all right, Netflix has got something, let's work with them and find a model within Netflix that's great for everybody. And they're fighting the flow of culture, and it's infuriating to think that 10 years from now, online streaming's just going to turn into cable. That's just infuriating to me that's what the companies are doing, and no one wants it. Netflix created a great business model, and people like Disney are killing it. And I don't think it's good for them in the long run. It's the same reason I don't think it's good for them to only remake their old movies as live action. That's a stupid business model long term, because they're so afraid of taking risks. They're just rebooting things right now from what they did 20 years ago, from 30 years ago. Okay, what are they going to do in 10 years when they don't have anything else to remake and they can't play it safe anymore? They've created a non-sustainable business model. I think they're the safe game that Disney's playing with Star Wars and with their movies and with the streaming service is just weird, short-sighted, and stupid.
Agreed. What is your worst movie experience?
Worst movie experience? Worst? Like movie theater experience?
Yeah, I think so.
I went to go see Jupiter Ascending. It actually had a press screening, and it was in 3D, and the whole movie was out of focus. So it was a bad movie, out of focus in 3D. So,
well, and the best part about the movie is the visuals.
Yeah, it's like a movie that's only known for the visuals. I don't really know if they're good, because I was just focused on, oh my goodness, why is this out of focus still? They kept like trying to fix it, and so it was doing this number, and like, ugh. So that wasn't fun.
Should Arnold have done Predator 2?
I don't know if Arnold should have done Predator 2, because I haven't seen Predator. Well, do you mean Predator 2 as in the one from 1990 with Danny Glover? I'd go with no, because that movie wasn't as strong of a movie. So, in that sense, I don't. It's not like that movie would have suddenly been better if you put him in it. Same with, I don't think that Batman Forever would have been better if you put Michael Keaton in it. Maybe 2% better. That's a question someone asked. Would Batman Forever have been better with Michael Keaton? It would have been like 5% better. I enjoy him in the role more than I like Val Kilmer, but it's a small percentage of it. My biggest problems with Batman Forever was not Val Kilmer. That's just kind of a little thing in it that was kind of like, oh, he's not as good as Keaton, but okay. All of these other things I'm pointing out are problems.
Worst comic book villain on screen?
I don't know. I don't have one that comes to mind immediately on the top of my head. All right, maybe Jamie Foxx in Amazing Spider-Man 2. That was very weird and didn't fit in there. Rich Reviews, you keep telling me about blockbusters, but you're not asking a question, so I'm not quite sure what you're going for. I have read it like 4 or 5 times, but you're not asking a question, so I don't have much to say on that.
Have you seen Steins Gate? I don't even know what that is.
No, I have no idea what Steins Gate is.
Oh, yeah, we just answered that. Okay. Rank live-action Disney movies?
Off the top of my head, I haven't seen several of them. I haven't seen most of them. I don't know which ones I've seen. I don't even know which ones fall into that category. Yeah, so I couldn't say anything.
We don't know what it is, Sam. The Steins Gate. Oh, anime.
Yeah, I haven't seen a ton of anime, so I probably couldn't comment too much on a lot of that stuff.
Do you think MTV is the worst cable channel right now?
I think MTV as a corporation is one of the worst corporations right now. I think they're abysmal. They put out a video last December called Resolutions for White People that was like a tirade against white people as a group. And it was, shocking that what they were doing. You're just watching it like, no, what are you, how do you think that this is okay to do? Like, what? This is everything that was considered racist up until about 10 minutes ago when racism was redefined. And they just put it out there like they just thought it's okay to talk about certain groups of people in certain ways. As long as they're not victim classes, you can just talk about them as categories in horrible, horrible ways. And so MTV is a very bad organization that is just run by a very weird cultural programming agenda, and it's not even like they really stand for anything. They're just chasing trends. They're trying to catch the wave of what a group of people's into, and it's very distasteful. So it's just kind of been a terrible organization for a long time. And the joke has been, since I was in high school 20 years ago, that MTV, remember when they used to play music videos? That was with the 80s. That's not in like my time in teenager in the 90s. They were barely playing music videos. They were doing The Real World all the time, and then Jackass, and then Tom Green, and all sorts of stuff that wasn't music back then. And when they played music videos, they'd play like a minute of it and then go to the next one. And so it's been really horrible for a very.
To be fair, we don't have cable, so.
Yeah, we don't have cable, so I haven't watched MTV since.
Or any other cable
15
shows
years
to compare it.
So,
Did you like It or Wonder Woman more?
I liked Wonder Woman more, by a good bit. Yeah, I think I gave Wonder Woman like a 9, and I gave It like an 8. So both very good movies, both very good reviewed. Wonder Woman's more my thing, so I'm more into attractive ladies than scary clowns. So one's more fun to look at, and one I can watch with my wife, and one, if I show her a picture, she freaks out. So my thumbnail for my It review is me as Pennywise and Photoshop stuff. She wouldn't even look at that picture of me to give me feedback on it or anything like that. So
taking the picture of you just as yourself was horrifying.
Yeah, she freaked out just taking the picture of me being like,
it was creepy.
Doing stuff like that. She's like, why are you being creepy? It's like, because I'm going to be Pennywise.
Well, you didn't tell me that when I took the picture. I didn't know what it was for until later. Oh. What are your thoughts on 47 Meters Down 2?
I have to know the premise of it, but it's a weird concept. Obviously, they're just trying to make money. That's what the whole thing was. Whenever The Shallows, they were going to release 47 Meters Down a year earlier under a different name, and then The Shallows, it had been released a little bit. Some people had seen it and things like that.
On DVD.
And then The Shallows came out, and people were like, shark movies, cool again. So then they released this, $2 million movie in theaters, marketed for $10 million, and then made $30 million or whatever it did. It's just a good money making machine. So I guess what they're doing. My wife's excited about it, but it's not a premise that lends itself to a sequel.
I don't think it's real. It's like 48 meters down. I don't think it's an.
That's totally different. It's 1 meter further down. Different concept.
I don't think it's actually a sequel in the strict sense.
Right. I'm sure it's not going to be that, but I have already answered Justice League over Thor Ragnarok. I'm Justice League all the way on that one.
Do you think Jeff Goldblum looks ridiculous as the Grand Master?
Yeah, but he's supposed to.
Thoughts on 4D movies?
That's not a thing. That's what are the movies told, and the concept of time is shifting. That's not a thing that happens. If you're talking about smell-o-vision and things like that, that's stupid. If you're talking about 4K movies that are in ultra high definition, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever watched anything in 4K, so I don't really know. But 4D is a movie that takes place and is transitioning through time. That would be amazing if they found a way to do that, but time travel doesn't exist yet, so I don't. I guess if you're talking about using the rewind and fast forward feature. I do that all the time.
What are your thoughts on the DuckTales reboot?
I didn't saw it with my kids. I didn't have thoughts on it. I didn't like the voices. I didn't like the voices. That's my only thought. They weren't right. Yes, I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. Do I think that 48 frames per second is dead? What he's talking about is when The Hobbit came out, they made a big deal. Hey, it was shot 48 frames per second. It's going to be the next big thing in movies. It wasn't. I don't even think they released Hobbits 2 and 3 in 48 frames per second. So if they couldn't get one movie to like get people excited about it, and then they might not even release the sequels, and I don't know if they've done anything else in it. So I mean, it was dead on arrival.
What do you think about Interstellar?
I like it. Got a little weird in the third act, but overall I liked it. It's there's things in it that are excellent. There are things in it that are amazing. The overall. Yeah, I thought it kind of. I don't think the third act was like as mind blowing as Mr. Nolan wanted it to be, but you get ambitious and sometimes it doesn't work.
Would you ever go on Real World?
Would I ever go on Real World? No.
Good answer.
No, I mean I do. If they brought American Gladiators back and did Trouts in Austin, I'd be all over that. I mean, I'd do something like some of the ones that's like active. I couldn't actually compete on American Ninja Warrior because I'm not that athletic and I'm I'm way too much to be able to hold myself up, as I've learned from watching the show quite a bit. But stuff like that, I'd be interested. Maybe Wipeout, I'd do something like that. But Real World, any of that, just where it's based off melodrama crap, I just don't have any interest in that at all. Do I think that Alien Covenant is underrated? No. Based off Rotten Tomatoes, it's probably overrated. Based off the reception from people, it's about right. That they went in thinking, hey, look, we're gonna get a Alien movie that is like Alien, and then they got Prometheus 2, and I was one of those people that was like, oh, shucks. I almost liked this movie. I liked the first 45 minutes, and then it just went off in this other direction. So I don't like Prometheus all that much. I think it's a slight improvement over Prometheus because the alien parts are better.
Prometheus twice. What's
better?
Alien
Covenant is better than Prometheus.
Okay.
Because the alien parts are better, like the beginning part, the end of it. But I don't like any of that David mythology, him creating the aliens and genetic, all the stuff all that stuff when there's two of the androids sitting there playing a flute together, like, here, let me finger you. Like, that's a line in the movie. Like, that's weird. That is, like, I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. Rich Reviews, could you write a screenplay about your life? Yeah. I don't think I'm going to anytime soon. I've thought about it.
If you had to pick between Terminator or Wonder Woman.
What's the question? Which one am I going to hang out with? Which one?
Oh, well, the answer for that is Terminator.
Wait a minute here. Well, you're getting the wrong idea, wife. I don't know what you're asking. The Terminator and Terminator 2 are better than Wonder Woman as movies. So I don't. That's the answer to that one. Which one do I want to hang out with? Not one of the Terminators trying to kill me.
Arnold, for sure. Though.
Arnold would be fun to hang out with. He seems like he's got a lot of energy. We could work out together. I could keep up with him.
When do you think Star Wars should stop, as far as episodes?
I think that they should take a 15-year break after Episode 9. I think Star Wars is generational the way it's worked thus far. So the first 3 trilogies each one is a generation. So yeah, that's what I think. James Mirror Domains, are you going to see Mother American Assassin first this weekend? American Assassin. That's much more my type of movie, not a Darren Aronofsky freak you out, controversial. It's the most controversial movie since A Clockwork Orange. I hear that and I go, oh, I just start groaning before I even see the movie with stuff like that. I'm not like a big Darren Aronofsky fan. I haven't even seen a lot of his movies, just weird for the sake of being weird, dark for the, like, he just dwells in such dark territory. I like Pi a lot, but then his other stuff, I just dwells so much in areas that I'm not crazy about. American Assassin, I'm actually listening to it during work. I listened to 3 hours of the audiobook today. I listened to it several years back when it first, not when it first came out, but like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's my kind of movie too. Guy being trained in military stuff to take people out with Michael Keaton as his mentor. I mean, it just sounds like a movie designed for me. Whereas Mother, I go, I don't know about this.
Gamer Cop does not want you to shave.
Gamer Cop doesn't want me to shave. That's weird.
Only trim.
Isn't that?
It's very specific.
Gamer Cop, you're creeping me out a little bit.
Thoughts
Have you
on
not
Ready
noticed
Player
this
One?
bald spot right
Stop
here
it,
and
stop
this
it.
bald spot?
Hey, Ready Player One, thoughts on that?
I'm a big I really like Ready Player One, the book. I thought it was a very cool one. I wasn't sure how they're going to be able to translate it to film. Not because the story wasn't translatable, but I didn't think they'd be able to get licensed to all this stuff. And I was like, this doesn't work if you can't have all this stuff show up in it. And then they released that trailer, and my fear was wrong. So yeah, it was like, wow, this is amazing. They're actually going to pull it off. This is going to be really cool. I don't even know what this scene is that they're showing me. I don't remember this from the book. I don't think it's from the book, but it's amazing. So pretty pumped about that.
Oh, yeah.
Are the Razzies flawed? No, the Razzies are stupid. They're designed as like an inside joke that's not funny. So you look at the nominations and it's normally trying to pick on the easy target. And so back in the 80s, it was like, Sylvester Stallone, worst actor for Rambo. That's hilarious. And it's not funny. That sort of, it's such when you're doing obvious jokes like that, and there's no cleverness to it, there's no wit to it. Because you can't actually, like, here's the actual worst actor. This guy gave a really crappy performance. They're not doing that. They're trying to pick on popular things or the easy target so it's a joke. In which case, it's just, I just don't like that sort of thing. I don't like obvious humor that's like, hey, everybody knows that Twilight sucks, right? 50 Shades of Grey, the worst. I don't. There's no bite to that. There's no edge. There's no commentary. It's just pointing out obvious social jokes.
They want you to rank Godfather movies.
3, 2, 1. I've actually never seen The Godfather 3. Maybe that's bad. I don't know if that's good.
Do you need allergy medicine?
Yeah, I've needed allergy medicine for a while. Rich reviews. Thoughts on the 50 Shades Freed trailer? I haven't watched it. If I had watched it, I probably would have done a rant video. I think those movies are abhorrent. I think it's appalling that that's stuff that progressive Hollywood is putting out. As romantic, as just kinky fun, everything that they're doing with promotion of it, while on the side thing talking about rape culture and toxic masculinity and all sorts of buzzwords for progressive community, and then they put out 50 Shades of Grey. I think that is just shine a light on the hypocrisy of Hollywood and how empty their ideology and worldview is, that it's being accepted, that there's not a big pushback, that you don't have a whole bunch of actors out there protesting it. You don't have a bunch of critics. Like, the critics are trashing it, but they're not writing criticisms of the worldview of what's being presented. And that is appalling that they're okay with what's being presented, especially like in a time where people went insane over footage of, Donald Trump saying horrible things, and then they went to go see 50 Shades of Grey, which is a rich white guy taking advantage of young, innocent, naive, virginal girl, and then showing her grabbing them by the parts in an elevator in one of the trailers. you're going, Hollywood, how do you not see the hypocrisy in what you're saying? Like, you're right to be offended by what he did and says and behaves. You're right to do that. But if you followed up by like, hey, 50 Shades Darker. Like, how do you not see the problem in this? How do you not see the hypocrisy in the celebration of these two things? Like, how they're obnoxious.
I'm at 3%, just FYI.
Oh, all right. Our batteries are dying, so we got a couple fun last ones.
Thoughts on the Flatliners remake trailer?
Looks good enough. I don't have a nostalgia for the original or anything like that, so I don't have strong thoughts on it, but worked fine for me. Have you Gamer Cop, have you seen me with highlights and a goatee? Have you seen me with long hair yet? Have you seen me when I was skinny and weighed 70 pounds less than I weigh right now? There's plenty of scary Sean pictures out there. Austin Wolcott, Die Hard, 6 thoughts, horrible idea. It's just a terrible plan. Bruce Willis is... If they say John McTiernan's coming back and they get one of those 80s screenwriters to come back to make it, is it Jeb Stewart and some of these guys, they get one of them and Bruce Willis is like apologizes for number 5, maybe. They do one of those ones that's like the 35th anniversary of the Nakatomi Plaza incident and he's going back, maybe. But all this crap with Len Weissman and an origin story, I think is abysmal. It's offensive. It's apocryphal. It's apocryphal. It's not. Doesn't fit. Like, it's not. If you do a prequel to Die Hard, you're an idiot. Like, you're a moron. That's fan fiction. That's what it is. If you think that's a good idea, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like you've never seen Die Hard. You don't understand what Die Hard is.
If you could have any movie prop, what would it be?
Any movie prop? A Millennium Falcon in my backyard? Or that'd be pretty cool. That'd be like a very cool man cave in your backyard. Yeah, there we go. A Millennium Falcon as maybe a 3rd floor in my house or in my backyard.
Favorite holiday movie?
Elf?
Good call. Logged Up agrees. It's his favorite as well. Any movie recommendations? What's that one?
I don't know if you've seen Ark on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. It's a time loop one with Robbie Amell, Stephen Amell's cousin. It's not like an amazing, mind blowing movie, but it's
What's the one you just saw with your link? You just watched it.
Shot Collar. Yeah, that one. That's a cool one. What's this Lucasfilm indie one?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I can't read it. It keeps popping up. It seemed like something I'd have thoughts on.
I'll find it.
We're about to go. My phone's gonna die very soon. That computer's gonna die very soon. So we might just disappear. I don't have a favorite movie. William Dafoe would be cool as the Joker. Yeah, I mean, he'd be a great pick, obviously.
Do more indie after Obi-Wan?
Do more indie? This whole idea of Harrison Ford coming back is a bad idea. He's 75 now. If they film it next year, he's 76 when they film it. That's if they film it next year. If they don't, he's 77. He's not like Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone is like on horse steroids or something like that. And so he's still like shredded and muscular at age 71. Whereas Harrison Ford's an aged well, handsome man in his 70s.
You lost your mic?
But he's, what?
The computer's down. Does that mean the mic's down?
We're fine.
Okay.
But he's not like the fit guy that you can believable in some of this stuff. And so that's a weird thing to do, to have aging Indiana Jones doing all that stuff. You could pull it off when he was in his 60s, but he's late 70s now, so that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know what they should do with Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Rich Review said he wished he had your charming charisma.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I just drank lots of Red Bull and do lots of cocaine with my wife. And
stop it.
what? We don't do cocaine?
Nope.
So yeah, I just had to try and be myself. And I've been talking publicly for a long time, so I've got some. That's where some of it comes from. Practice a lot, record lots of it, and you get better at it, and you get used to it. Favorite food? Maybe sushi, steak, nice steaks. Never seen Rick and Morty. Thanks, guys, for watching. Wow, this is my longest one yet by a lot. I didn't even mean to go this long. But like my phone was at 100% when we started, and it's gonna die now. That's so long that my phone couldn't keep up with all of this. Dance party, Sean, can you sing? Yeah, I'm a good enough singer. So I come from church world. I'd put it in the category of as a backup singer, harmonizer. I've done a good bit of some of that throughout the years. As a lead singer, probably not so much. I've got a few things out there. I've got an album that I did with some people on the YouTube or on iTunes. So I can sing a little bit. I got a guitar right over there, 2 guitars right over there. So I can play guitar, sing a little bit, but more of a backup singer than a lead singer. I could scream. I could be good in a punk band probably, or maybe a metal band too. So that'd be fun. There you go. Thank you guys really for. I don't play piano. I think I might be running out of energy. You guys are just listing off names of artists now. I don't sing all that much like Beyonce anymore. Maybe back in the day when I was 9. Sam B, when do you do these? Right now is when this is happening. This is live. Me and you've been here for a while, so right now is when this is happening. So I don't know why you don't know the answer to that. That's a weird one. All right, I'll just keep walking downstairs and see what happens. Hayden Pike, unannounced Star Wars predictions. No, I don't have any predictions. Whatever's most obvious. A Yoda standalone movie, something stupid like that. That's what we're going to get. Kathleen Kennedy. She's running out of obvious stuff, so happens. All right. Yeah, Iker, you're getting a... There's my Darth Vader hiding in the closet. Logged up next stream predictions. I don't have a next stream prediction. Well, Austin Wilcott, Speed 3, good idea, bad idea. Bad idea. Just because Keanu Reeves wouldn't do it. The concept of it worked really great for one movie, worked really bad for the sequel. Maybe a Speed remake. It's been 25 years, so, something like that could work, but... Yeah, I don't think it's a great idea to do a third one at all. But, yeah. Good Burger 2. Weird pick. As the novelty of it might work if you had those guys playing the same guys, even though they're working a Good Burger, even though that they're in their late 30s now. So... Wow, someone keeps asking about Teen Titans and Powered Puffs and Good Burgers, and I'm gonna go. Thoughts on first Exorcist movie? It's a classic. And time to go.